I mean, I think that there is something in fiction that draws you to conflict to begin with. But it's also true that I am selective about what personal experience goes into the novel. So, for example, the boar charging incident is in Annihilation, but the time I got charged by an otter is not, because the optics of a grown man running from what seems to be a small furry mammal is just nothing that you can put in anything other than a comic novel. and and so even though it's quite a serious situation with the otter, where this is an animal that's fairly large, all one muscle, and if it's running towards you, there's something wrong. It's not something you can put into a novel. But then the other thing that I find is, depending on the reader's own connection with nature, they will find elements of a book like Annihilation more or less dangerous or scary, because there are moments in Annihilation that for the biologist are pretty ordinary or non-frightening, that the reader may find frightening. And so that I found quite interesting, because there were sections of the book where the biologist just is nonchalant about something, and some readers were like, "Why isn't she freaking out?" And it's like, well, because this is just like how nature is sometimes. But I think it's because then there's something interceding on the landscape, uh, whether it's Annihilation, or even to some extent, even it's kind of the past interceding on the landscape in Hummingbird Salamander, or in this new book set in a ravine that I'm working on. There's always something else that's not necessarily mundane, something unexplainable. You get those moments when you're hiking too, right? So, I once, swear to God, it may sound funny, but it was actually terrifying. I came into this crossroads on a hike, and I looked one way, and there was what looked like an enormous, grotesque kangaroo-like creature, which is impossible in Florida. And then the person I was hiking with said, "Oh, look, baby alligator." And I looked the other way, and when I looked back, the thing was gone, right? So I know it was something else. My brain was just processing it to try to figure, and the closest thing it could come to the shape was that. So you have those kinds of moments. You have the kinds of moments when you're hiking and you're being watched by something. Like, I was once stalked by a mountain lion in the hills above San Diego. And even though I only got a glimpse of this thing towards the end, I knew for a good 30 minutes that something was stalking me. Just all the hairs on the back of my neck were, like this. And I could feel its gaze on me. And so that's kind of, uncanny. You can't say it's not frightening to some degree, even if you're not necessarily in any danger. So those kinds of moments interest me, when we're kind of taken out of ourselves, taken out of our comfort zone. And some of that comes through in a natural way, and sometimes in a supernatural way.